The reason I decided to run for City Council is because I believe that Owen Sound can be more than it is. And I really want to be a part of creating some new possibilities for this community. Well, it is a fairly significant departure. I'm accustomed to being on the other side of the table from the politicians, and I really don't look at this as me becoming a politician. You know, I have worked on boards and committees for the city, and for me this is just a logical step to the next level of participation in the democratic process. Well, my participation in the Marine and Rail Museum committee was fairly straightforward. Again, many people will know that I'm an author. I've written a number of books of local history. I care deeply and passionately about the heritage and culture of this community. When they announced that the Marine and Rail Museum was going to be closed, I wasn't convinced that due diligence had been followed. I wasn't convinced that enough had been done by anybody to assess community support. And, you know, as we were able to prove, a small group of us at a public meeting, there was large community support. What that process underlined for me was what I see as a real disconnect between the City Council and the public that it represents. And I think that there need to be new ways to establish community engagement at Owen Sound so that the Council is certain that it is actually carrying forward the will of the community. You know, my viewpoint on that is that when, you know, as a business person, when my income is diminishing for whatever reason, I look at new ways to generate funds. And I think that Council really needs to be taking a leadership role in creating new possibilities for this community, in getting out there and aggressively pursuing business for Owen Sound, ways for Owen Sound to generate new income. You know, we're managing a diminishing tax base, as we know, and in that case you need to find ways to grow the tax base. You need to cut some of the red tape at City Hall so there can be more development, so that we can derive more income from assessment. There are all sorts of things that can be done, and I'm not convinced that presently those avenues are being pursued. Owen Sound is a community of contradictions in a lot of ways. I mean, there are still those here who remember the glory days, the big industrial shipping days, and wish they would come back. There are people who remember when we had the big industries here and wish that would come back. And I think that's fine, but I think the time for some creative reinvention of Owen Sound may be at hand. If I were to point to Stratford, for example, which, you know, for many years was the festival town. However, there wasn't much else going on in Stratford, and they recognized that, and they reinvented the community so that they would have a firm base on which to go forward. And I think that that's the kind of reinvention that needs to happen in Owen Sound. I think the harbour front is an awesome place to start that reinvention of the community of Owen Sound. Having been involved with the Community Waterfront Heritage Centre, saving the Marine and Rail Museum, people were practically falling over themselves to partner with us to help us save that museum. And I think there is a strong recognition that the harbour could once again become the economic engine that would help to drive this economy. Now, saying that, I'm not suggesting that it's going to be a purely industrial harbour. I'm not suggesting it's going to be purely commercial or purely tourism. I think it needs to be a mixed harbour. One of the things that I'm taking forward, and that I will hope to convince my other councillors if I'm elected about, is the creation of a community waterfront development corporation, similar to what the community of Halifax and other ports around the country have done to recreate and reinvent their waterfront, which, you know, all of them were industrial, all of them faced the same kind of situations that Owen Sound did, and I think that that is going to be key towards us moving forward, sort of stepping outside of council and forming a separate body that will be focused strictly on waterfront redevelopment Owen Sound. The membership in that organization could include federal, provincial, county and city politicians. It could include Georgian College, the Owen Sound Transportation Company, the Community Waterfront Heritage Center, Parish and Heimbecker, all of the groups that have a stake on that inner harbor and who will benefit, along with the entire community, from seeing something happen down there.